Neighborhood Film Snob, and guys, I'm still trapped in time. The last time you listened, I was with Maddie in the 80s. I managed to get her sent home safely, but there was only enough fuel in the time machine to get one of us home, and I did the right thing. I tried to help out, but it means I am trapped in time. Um, this news might be alarming to you. It's probably more alarming to my wife, who thinks she's sitting next to me, but actually it's just a life model hologram I've projected into my
Yeah,
house.
nice.
Tina, sorry, I probably should have told you I'm trapped in time.
What? Oh my god! Where are
Yeah.
you?
Well, here's the thing. Like, if everything has worked out correctly, you shouldn't have noticed. I should have come back pretty much the same time Maddie did. Have I?
Instantaneously.
Did I come back home? Am I at home as far as you're
Is
aware?
that? Is it really you? It's you, James.
'Cause-
I haven't missed you at all because it's only been a second,
Oh,
right?
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Because just so you know, it's been 8 years for me.
Oh my god.
Now I look the same because what I found out is that when you're in the time stream, you don't age.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. Like,
that is cool.
because what happened was I ate like a snack and then I threw the wrapper out into the time stream. So I'm like, it's eternity, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then it looped around my time machine once, came back in, and it was a brand new snack again.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But didn't you get sick of eating the same thing over and over again?
Well, because
I
look,
suppose you could always choose not to eat it.
there was other food in the time machine. I kept, so that's how I've stayed alive. I practice archery.
Does that mean that after you ate it, you were hungry again because it disappeared from your stomach?
No, it was just the food regenerated through the time stream. It's very hard to explain. I don't have enough time to do it today.
Oh, okay.
I probably should have reached out to you sooner than 8 years. I know. Look at.
But it wasn't 8 years.
Well, it was
It's
for
like,
me.
Like 1 second.
Yeah, for you it was 1 second, but
Yeah.
I've been here. Like, I'm still in the time machine, so that means my
You
future.
only just walked in the door finishing work like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because for me it's been 8 years. I've been practicing
Have you
archery
missed me?
Yes, of course. But what I had to do was I had to study quantum science.
Yeah.
So now I fixed the time machine.
So
Now,
you're like really smart now.
well, here's the thing. I think once I leave the time stream, all that knowledge will go away, just like the snack.
Oh.
So I am right now. I'm very smart, but it's not going to last very long. I don't think. As I said, I've been practicing archery in my hallways. I've taken 8 years off, just like Bruce Wayne did in Dark Knight Rises. But I came to you not, funnily enough, to apologize for waiting 8 years to talk to you or to see if you're okay, but to let you know I have caused some problems in time.
Uh-oh. What have you done?
So do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer kept like squashing things?
Yes, of course. Smash anything. I'll smash anything I want.
Well, once I repaired the time machine and found out what I've done is, do you remember that movie? I don't know if people still watch it, Back to the Future Part 2?
Oh.
No, I know you do because your favorite movie is one of your
Yes,
favorite movies.
yes. I was just saying, wondering if it had been made.
Yeah, no, it has been made. Good. That's not one that's been ruined. Well, remember how Doc turns the fuel converter into... He can just turn anything into fuel, like trash stuff?
Mhm.
That's what I've done.
Yeah.
So, I can get home, but what happened was I had to test the time machine first before I didn't want to come home and then ruin everything. So I just went to like little different places in history where it wouldn't matter. And I kind of accidentally stuffed up movies.
Oh no.
So, probably not a big deal for most people, but...
Yeah.
But for fans of the show, and for me, kind of a big deal. So there are at least 5 movies that...
Quick, tell me a movie from your time and I'll check to see if it still exists.
Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Okay.
Another one.
Psycho.
What's that?
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. So what we need to do is I'm going to tell you some movies that I wrote down a list of all the ones that look like they've been messed up, and we're going to go over them today and make sure that the cast and the directors are still right. And if
Okay,
not, we'll need to figure out how they've changed.
Yeah.
Does that... I mean, look, I know you'd probably rather me just come home, but look, I feel like I need to repair the damage before I do come home.
No, you need to repair that damage.
Absolutely. This exercise could take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. I don't know.
Oh, is that why soft drink comes out of the tap when we turn the taps on?
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I won't change it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I'm glad the hologram works. I feel like it feels like I'm at home, but really I'm in that rust bucket of a time machine. And I'm getting some strange smells coming through. Something like sulfur and brimstone. Hopefully that's not anything ominous, but we'll find out. What time of the year is it? We're probably okay. Alright, I'm going to pull out my list of movies and we'll see what happened. So the first movie I want to make sure is okay is School of Rock. School of Rock's one of my favorite films of all time.
Yep.
Tina, who's it directed by? Because I know who it's directed by in the original timeline, but can you tell me who it's directed by now? It should still hopefully be Richard Linklater.
It is directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh!
Yeah.
It's an interesting move for Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, it is.
Does that mean Jack Black's not in it anymore?
I don't know. I think the main... Oh, I can't remember the person's name. I think it's... Oh, that's right. It's Anthony Hopkins. It's Anthony Hopkins.
Okay, so... Well, I haven't seen this version of School of Rock. Tell me all about it.
Okay, so basically, Anthony Hopkins plays like a geriatric in a retirement home.
Okay.
Yeah? So he plays a geriatric in a retirement home, and when he was younger, he used to be in like rock bands, like failed rock bands.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a bit of a departure already from.
Well, what's going to happen? What happens is because he's such a schlep of a resident at the retirement home, and he's run out of money. They're like gonna kick him out.
Okay.
So he needs to like find money.
Yeah.
To like find a place to stay, basically. So he decides that if he's able to, you know, get back into rock, maybe he can teach. Because those who cannot do teach, correct?
That is a line from the movie. Okay, I'm glad that some of the
Yes.
dialogue... So maybe Mike White still wrote it. Good, okay. Interesting.
So basically he goes in
Yes.
to this very prestigious private school,
Okay.
basically, where all of the stiff-necked kids are like, you know, learning classical music.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I got to teach you some classical gas, because he was around in the 60s, you
Okay.
know. And so then he takes it upon himself to give these kids a real education in music. But the thing about Quentin Tarantino's like style when he was doing this is that, you know, it's very talk heavy.
Okay.
And the scenes where there is a lot of music, it's a lot of like fast cuts and
Okay.
everything. There is a really weird sort of not horror element, but there is a bit of like a kind of a gruesome element at the start when it's showing a montage of Anthony Hopkins, like all the bands that he was in,
Okay.
and he somehow managed to like maim himself every time, like his fingers bled from shredding on the guitar.
Interesting.
Like he broke his wrists from drumming too hard when he
That's
was
amazing.
drumming and all this kind of stuff like that. But yeah, basically like he gets this ragtag team of students, and they enter a rock competition.
Okay, well that's the same, sure.
Yeah, and because he needs to earn some, like he's earning money as a teacher,
Okay, sure.
but he needs to earn like respect.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's
Sure.
not just money, he needs to earn respect as well. And then the band have this battle of the bands, but it just so happens to be at the old retirement home.
Okay.
And so he goes to the old retirement home and he puts the band plays, and at first all the grandparents are like, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Sure.
And then like, you know, it plays a couple of notes from like Def Leppard or something.
Yeah.
And the old grannies and grandparents are like rocking out, and then he gets so much respect that they bring him back to the retirement home, and he lives out his days, a happy old man. And
It's a very upbeat
like,
film
yeah,
for
but
Quentin Tarantino.
it is upbeat. It's a little bit different from his usual stuff.
Is it
But there
edgy?
is, yeah, it is quite edgy.
Because I know that School of Rock, at least the one that I remember from our timeline, which you seem to have forgotten, is... It's a kid's film. Is this a kid's film, or is this...
No, I wouldn't say that it's a kid's film. Like, obviously, like, there's kids in it, but I wouldn't say the target audience is kids. I would say that the target audience is, like, young adults. Because even though, like, yeah, it has some comedy elements to it, in terms of the storyline, it's very, like long talking shots from Anthony Hopkins when he's like reminiscing the band and all that sort of stuff like that. And like the opening scenes of him shredding are pretty
like
intense.
literally shredding himself.
Literally shredding.
And is it very curse heavy? Like the original School of Rock, the one that I remember, being more of a family film, there isn't much swearing in it.
Yeah, so he has to unstiff neck the stiff necks.
Okay.
So he does that through a lot of
Cursing.
lots of swearing. The soundtrack is phenomenal.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of.
I mean, the original soundtrack was really good. So.
No, I know, but like he uses. Quentin Tarantino uses a lot of like 60s rock.
Yeah, sure.
And like 70s rock, like
deep.
We're talking Deep Purple here. You know, we're talking like
Deep Purple was in the original one. Great.
Yeah. But it's really prominent in the soundtrack,
sure.
and there's a lot of like times where the sound matches up with the imagery as well. Yeah.
Well, Quentin Tarantino.
It's definitely one of Quentin Tarantino's lighter films.
Sure.
But it's I wouldn't say that it's necessary. Like you'd show it to your kids if your kids were like 16.
Sure.
You wouldn't show it to a 12-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got an MA 15+ rating.
Okay. Wow.
Sorry, M 15+.
Okay. Well, Quentin Tarantino in the timeline I remember also had this weird thing about feet. Like, does he do that in this film? Is there like...
Yeah, you do see Anthony Hopkins' feet playing the drums in one section because like he's talking to the kids and he's like, you know, you got to loosen up. You know, who said that you had to play guitar with your hands? So he plays it with his elbows. It's like, who says you got to play keyboard with your hands? You got to play it with your nose. Try that. And then there's a scene where he's like on the drums and he's playing with his bare feet. Yeah.
I don't know that I want to. I mean, look, I love School of Rock, but maybe this one stays. I'll go back. I'll take the time machine back to where I ruined School of Rock. I'll fix that one. But interesting. You should pull one for me and see if I've seen this version. Because I did pull some of these unusual ones.
Yeah. Alright, well, the movie is Thor.
Okay.
Yeah, so the movie's Thor.
So not a perfect film, but definitely a fun film. Film.
The world that I currently live in, Thor is directed by Tim Burton.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's the lead? Who's the guy who plays Thor? The guy who plays Thor is Christopher Walken. That's right. It's Christopher Walken who plays Thor.
I mean, that makes sense because Christopher Walken was in Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Which is another Tim Burton film. I have seen this one. It's, well, what it is this one is, they go with King Thor. So they actually start at the end.
Okay.
So instead of, meeting Thor as this young, kind of brash hothead about to become king, we're seeing Thor at the end of his life. And it's told all through flashbacks.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts. Helena Bonham Carter plays...
Can I just confirm, is this an animated?
No, it's live
one?
action.
It's live action.
Live action, yeah. They, I don't know what they... Well, they did this in my timeline where Disney de-aged people a lot with CGI. A lot of that's going on with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I would have picked him for Loki, but it was an interesting choice making him Thor. So he's King Thor, and basically he spends most of his time kind of in his normal Christopher Walken appearance is just him pretty much sitting on a throne reminiscing and talking to the children of Asgard and stuff like that.
That sounds like it'd be a very slow-paced film.
Well, there's a lot of flashbacks, so we do cut to a lot of action and stuff like that. It's very whimsical. Like, it's Tim Burton. He doesn't do a lot of big action sets. It's very, I don't know if you've seen 1989's Batman from our timeline, but, like, that's quite whimsical as well. It's not really an action film. Helena Bonham Carter, as I mentioned, plays Jane Foster, which is a pretty typical pick. Johnny Depp plays Loki.
Yeah.
And bold choice, not a lot of makeup for Johnny Depp in this one. I appreciate it because he went through a phase in my timeline where all he did was wear makeup, which I don't have a problem with. But it's like, geez, like, take a break, man. Like, just let's see some of your natural shine. I'm trying to remember who else is in it, this version that I've seen. We've got Loki, we've got Thor, we've got Jane Foster. Odin's dead.
Odin's dead.
Obviously, we've got King Thor. He's at the end of his life, so his dad's come and gone. I'm trying to think who else.
So then, what's the antagonist? What's the driving force in the story? Is it just him going, "Hey, this was my life"?
Well, it's almost like where I come from. There were 4 Thor films. This one kind of takes bits and pieces from all of the four Thor films, and tells also kind of like like an anthology story where like they go to his origins and we see kind of the kind of bits and pieces from the original Thor film, and then we see some Dark World, Dark World, like this version is the best version of that film. It's like a really compelling, satisfying villain.
Well, paint a picture of Tim Burton's version of the Dark World for me.
You know Beetlejuice, like the Beetlejuice house?
Yeah.
Basically every building looks like that.
Yeah.
It's really dark. There's lots of shadows.
There's the gravestones everywhere.
Winona Ryder played Sif.
Yeah.
So she's in there, but she's like really gothic and stuff, and like she's more into Loki because he's the kind of dark and like he has the dark hair and he's more twisted and evil. Thor's quite boring in these films, if I'm honest.
Okay, yeah.
Because Tim Burton seemed a lot more focused on the villainous characters. Hela shows up, you know, their half sister, who's the goddess of death, played by a woman who shows up. It's actually Helena Bonham Carter again. she actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter again.
Yeah, she plays Jane Foster and Hela. Which is
because it's just like a flashback of Jane Foster.
It is, but also like it's a trick that Loki played, so to confuse Thor and to be like, oh, is it my sister or my girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like it gets creepy. Like I will say that, but that's very Tim Burton, very on brand. It seems to be like Halloween in all of these different events. Like it's constantly that. There are some musical numbers, like some.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's like some Stephen Sondheim kind of Sweeney Todd type. You know, kind of like rollicking. You know, Hela has this big musical number about how.
What's it called?
I just can't wait to be queen. But it's like to the tune of "Be Prepared" from Lion King. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like he actually took two different songs from Lion King, kind of mashed them up. Not even a Tim Burton film. Like Tim Burton did Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland, but he in this timeline he did. Lion King apparently, and stole those songs for Thor. And then there's like a cameo from Tom Cruise as Tony Stark. He shows up as Iron Man at one point.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Like when they're reminiscing like about the good old days when they kind of fought when they defeated Loki the first time as the Avengers. So look, it's a real departure from the Thor movie that we all know and love. Christopher Walken, like I've barely spoken about him because he's not even that memorable. And if I'm honest, like it's more, he's he just does it's just the Christopher Walken voice.
So when he's talking, like narrating, is he narrating like throughout the flashbacks as well? Like, are we listening to a lot of Christopher Walken talking?
Walken talking. He does well in the flashbacks. It's Christopher Walken as well, just CGI DH. So he does all the dialogue.
Yeah. Not like a voiceover.
Well, he does some voiceover, so kind of like the voiceover will like lead into the chapter, and then the movie will just play on.
Yeah.
As it is, but yeah, it was a weird take. It was a weird decision, but you know, those Iron Man films have been so successful and very kind of rock and roll, kind of blockbuster movies. And Captain America was very militant and very serious. So they were like, look, let's just do this weird gothic Thor movie where Thor's hardly in it. And people loved it.
Vikings is really quite, Celtic and gothic and...
Yeah, people really dug it. I think, it's interesting. People were really impressed following, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that this was kind of his next big blockbuster. And it worked, That being said... Once I get the time machine up and running properly, I will restore Thor back to where it was. Because as much as I know everyone wants to see this version of the movie, it's complicated, it's messy, and doesn't fit into the cinematic universe that we're familiar with back from home. But it's a weird one. Alrighty, we'll check another movie, and you tell me about this one.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yep.
It was a really popular movie in our timeline.
It was a really popular movie in ours as well.
Well, we have the same timeline, but I'm beginning to think... But I also, I know that your timeline has been augmented. So, was The Dark Knight popular when it was directed by Steven Spielberg?
Yeah, it absolutely was.
I mean, that makes sense. It would be.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest movies of the decade.
And, obviously, in my timeline, Christian Bale played Batman.
Yeah.
So, I did think it was interesting that Rebel Wilson...
Rebel Wilson. played The Dark Knight.
Can you tell me about this superior version of The Dark Knight by Steven Spielberg?
Yeah. So, basically, it still goes along the same premise. I think it's so.
Okay.
Basically, what happens is, Bruce Wayne, played by Rebel Wilson. So Rebel Wilson actually, she won an Oscar for this.
Wow, must be
Yeah.
the first Batman actress,
Yeah.
performer. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. So, like, she basically, like, she lost a whole bunch of weight.
Mhm.
She got really, really, like, ripped.
Sure. Okay.
And everything. And she, cut her hair short. Interesting choice. She didn't do an American accent. She used her Australian accent.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a really interesting choice, but it was just weird because it just worked.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It just worked. And so basically, she's at this point where it comes into. I have to try and remember the plot of the Dark
Well,
Knight.
I remember like the Dark Knight from my timeline. The way it opens is with this one great heist moment, and it's the lead up, the build up, and the lead up to Heath Ledger, and Heath Ledger's the Joker. That's how it opens.
Yeah. Oh, Heath Ledger played your Joker.
Yeah. Who played?
Oh, Tom Cruise played our Joker.
I can see that.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you still have the really great like opening shot of the glass building, and then kind of like all the
Yeah.
different clowns killing each other as they get to the bank? That's still the
Yeah,
same?
they're all wearing like black sunglasses. No. Like risky business.
Okay.
Like risky business.
Okay. So Tom Cruise plays the Joker and they all wear black sunglasses.
Yeah.
Do they slide in on their socks?
No.
Okay.
No. They like parasailing, like abseiling.
Okay, so tell me some of the cast. So Rebel Wilson, she shaved her head, or she got short hair.
Got
Did
short hair, yeah,
She
yeah.
dyed black, or is she still blonde?
No, still blonde.
Okay.
Yeah, still blonde.
So she's got a bit of a Bowie thing going on.
Yeah, and so basically, like the whole thing that she's doing is she's presenting this idea, like when she's being Batman, she's like a really ultra masculine version of Batman, but when she's Bruce Wayne, she's like living it up, play girl style sort of thing, and so no one can make that connection.
So is Bruce Wayne a lady?
Yes.
Okay, but she dressed up as Batman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because no one then makes that sort of like
Yeah, sure.
connection.
Does she still do that voice, that gravelly, like...
No, she still speaks in her Australian accent.
Okay, so it's just Rebel Wilson's voice. But people can't tell the
Yeah,
difference.
but people can't tell the difference.
Okay, so
The suit is really like molded and masculine,
Yeah.
like abs and stuff like that.
So similar to the 1989
yeah,
Batman. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. But basically, like Spielberg.
Yeah, tell me about his influence on the
Yeah,
film.
so his influence was really just like beautiful mise en scene.
Mm.
Like you have these amazing scenes of like Batman like flying through the sky and it's like past the moon, and he has like all of this hidden like messaging in the mise en scene. So because obviously like Tom Cruise playing the Joker, like he has like a calling card sort of thing. Which is like the black sunglasses, yeah. So like in the scenes where he's done something, there's like black sunglasses like sitting on like tables and stuff like that, like in the background, but it's blurry and you can't like fully see it, so you really have to like watch it a few times to get it and everything. But there's like these action sequences are fantastic. Like there's this one scene where like Batman's like running down a hallway and there's this massive like ball that's chasing and like going down. It's like a massive juggling ball because it's a bit like the Joker launched it.
Sure.
Yeah, at it.
Is that instead of the truck flip, or is the truck flip in there as well?
No, the truck flip's in there. Yeah.
Okay.
The truck flip's in there and everything. Like it's like the fires and all that sort of stuff like that. And like the music is done by Danny Elfman. as well.
Okay. I would have thought John Williams for.
Oh, sorry, John Williams. That's what I
Yeah.
meant. That's what I meant because I get the two.
I didn't tell you, but
often.
Danny Elfman did score Thor.
Oh, did he?
I should
Oh,
have mentioned it,
yeah. Of course he would have. But yeah, so John Williams does the score for it. It's really interesting because it's actually all score and there's no like popular music.
That's pretty common for Batman films. Yeah.
So it's all score. But it's really interesting because basically what happens is, there's a twist and the Joker actually finds out that Rebel Wilson is Batman and like is able to like identify her. And so there's like this really, really tense scene. And they're having like a argument because Batman. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. But Batman caught the Joker, and so they're in like he's in the jail cell, and Batman's like trying to interrogate the Joker and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
like
I remember that scene.
Yeah. And Tom Cruise is like not giving an inch or anything like that. And so then as Rebel Wilson just like loses it and starts like laying into Tom Cruise, like a part of like his shirt gets ripped and he's got these scars on his chest and everything, and he's like, don't you want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah,
and then it turns out that like the reason that he got those scars is because he was working in like Bruce Wayne's, like Rebel Wilson's like dad's company. I can't remember what, like
the Wayne Foundation.
Yeah, the Wayne Foundation, that's exactly right. And he was like, a labourer and all this kind of stuff like that. And then because the dad was like siphoning money and all this kind of stuff. And
so Thomas Wayne's kind of a villain in this.
Yeah, he's a villain in this. But like not a like he's a villain to the common man. He's not a villain to Bruce Wayne.
Because is he dead or?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. Well, that's not a villain to his son. Yeah, sure. Daughter, yeah. Which it's like Bruce, like it's a really interesting choice that her name is Bruce, so like a masculine name. Yeah, not Bryce.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like how Drew can be a boy's or a girl's name,
sure.
sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it turns out like he was the Joker was doing like this this work on a building, like a scaffolding and stuff like that, and he fell and he like got injured and punctured himself, and so like that's a real pinnacle moment because he's like, your father gave me these scars. And, yeah, so
now in the version that I remember, Two-Face shows up as well. Is Two-Face in this version?
Yeah, Two-Face is in this version, but it's a bit different.
Okay.
So Two-Face's face isn't like split in half, like left and right. Two-Face actually has a face on the front and a face on the back of his head as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who plays Two-Face?
So Two-Face is obviously played by two actors.
Okay.
So like one actor's like superimposed on the back of the head of like the other actor.
Okay.
And it's interesting because what they did was they decided to do like a male and female type thing.
They do a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah. So like the actual character of Two-Face is male, but the face on the back is female.
Okay.
So it's Keanu Reeves plays Two-Face.
So he plays Harvey Dent.
Yeah, so he plays Harvey Dent. That's exactly right. And he's really good with all like the political, stuff and all that kind of stuff. And Charlize Theron plays the face on the back of the head.
And is she scarred or is just Charlize Theron?
Yeah, no, she's scarred. She's like melted and all this kind of stuff like that. It's really intense. There's this moment because like he wears like a turban. And like this moment where he unwraps it and you see her face in the back of her head. It's really intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I need to know about Steven Spielberg's The Dark Knight with Rebel Wilson?
Yeah, like I mean, it was Academy acclaimed because it was a role that Rebel Wilson really worked hard for, and she won like Best Actress for it. Steven Spielberg won a whole bunch of like cinematography. He didn't win Best Film.
Yeah.
He was nominated for Best Film, but he didn't get Best Film. It went to a different movie. I can't remember what one.
Okay.
But yeah, and just like there was just really like high highs and terrible lows, and it was really just kept you on the edge of your seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, maybe we should see if I've seen another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I got a few movies to fix. I would never have picked that for The Dark Knight.
So this one is Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Okay. All right. Lower stakes, I would
Yeah,
say.
this was one of my favourite ones growing up. So, I can't remember who it was directed by. It's directed by Kevin Smith.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can see that.
And Austin Powers was played by Dame Maggie Smith. That's right. That's right. So Dame Maggie Smith plays Austin Powers, directed by Kevin Smith.
Two Smiths working together.
Yeah, two Smiths. That's right.
Which is good star power. All right. It's an interesting flick. I started thinking about Wayne's World, but it's a bit of a flip. You know, what they did was they wanted to parody the James Bond films and things like that.
Yeah.
So Austin Powers is a female spy, like in this movie, and she's obviously a bit older, but she's still quite quite a vixen. She's very much the female version of a lady killer. Like she's still one of her Bond girls, except Bond boys, is played by Ben Affleck. Another one's played by Jason Lee.
Yeah.
And another one by Chris Rock. These guys, who are staples in Kevin Smith's work. They've shown up in places before.
No, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon is Dr. Evil.
Matt Damon's Dr. Evil. Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the plot of International Man of Mystery.
Well, you should know. It's about going back in time.
No, I know, but I've been in time for so long, my brain's not working very well. No, well, The Spy Who Shagged Me is about going back in time. No, what happens is, so Dame Maggie Smith, and they use makeup.
Oh, no, that's right. It's about being cryogenically frozen.
She gets frozen, after trying to hunt down Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
In a disco? I can't remember. International Man of Mystery.
Discos went around in the 60s.
It's like a jazz club.
Well, actually, can I interrupt for a second? Does it still have that amazing dance sequence at the start, down Carnaby Street and stuff like that?
To the
Yeah,
it does.
Oh, Maggie Smith dancing like that? That's fantastic.
Yeah. Strange enough, she still wears the outfit and the wig.
Yeah.
So even though she's clearly a lady, and she is Austin is a unisex name in this. She wears the outfit. I don't know if you the time streams bled and you remember what Michael Myers looked like, but she was very much like. She got the wig. She got the big thick glasses. She's wearing the bell bottom jeans and stuff.
Yeah.
Or pants, sorry, not jeans. But yeah, she gets frozen after tracking down Matt Damon's Dr. Evil. In it's not a disco. It's like a jazz club type thing. And then he tricks her into getting frozen. And then when she wakes up, her partner, Ben Affleck from the 60s, is now an old man.
Yeah.
So he has to send his son, Chris Rock, in his place. He was very progressive. He had a progressive relationship with Pam Grier was played his wife. Pam Grier was a big star in the 70s. She played Coffee and stuff like that. She was Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
So Chris Rock is their son, and he tags along as kind of Austin's sidekick, and Dame Maggie Smith has to navigate the 90s.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So there's this scene where she buys a record, buys a CD, puts it on a record player, and it scratches. She trying to think what else happens in it. She goes to Vegas. The plot's very similar. She goes to Vegas and she has to bet against she has to play cards with number 2, who's played by Jason Mewes. He's always use guys.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
So does she end up falling for
Chris Rock?
Chris Rock?
Yeah, she does.
But that's a big age difference between them as well, though. Does he reciprocate?
Yeah, he is a big fan of hers because he kept getting told by his parents all the stories of Austin Powers.
Oh, yeah.
And what a wonderful spy she was in the 60s and 70s, early 60s and stuff. And so he's very enamored with her, and he kind of digs that she's a bit older, because she's from an age where because she wasn't uptight. Like most people her age in the present are very uptight, where
Yeah.
she hasn't gotten older, so she's still
Yeah.
very kind of loose and fun. And there's like a moment where she's talking to like Basil, who's played by who played Basil? I'm trying to think who played Basil again. It was the guy who played Dante. Like he plays Basil Exposition.
Yeah.
And it's like Basil and
And every time, is it that thing where it's like every time she calls him up for like information, he complains about how like it's work and he's not supposed to be working.
He's like, the spy agency was meant to be closed. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah.
But there's like, he has like these two sidekicks. And whenever like they stuff up, she's like, why is it? It's always you three.
And does she do like crazy like outfit changes with like, you know, different wigs, and because she has to change her identity when she's a spy.
Yeah, there's actually like this kind of like infiltration sequence towards the end when they're going to Dr. Evil's base, where she like each room she's dressed up as different one of the Spice Girls.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's kind of like modern.
Yeah.
Kind of like to her, like it's not hippie-ish, but it's kind of like the modern idea of girl power and sex symbols and stuff like that. So she wears like the UK dress and she wears like sporty gear and she's dressed up like a baby at one point. And yeah, like so if you're familiar with the original Austin Powers International Man Mystery, it's very similar. There's this scene where Dr. Evil tries to seduce her with these man bots.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like instead of, I don't know if you ever saw the original, but there were these things called fembots, and instead of nipples, they had machine guns.
Yeah.
Well, they just have like shotguns instead of wieners. And
big long shotgun schlongs.
and it's played to like "Achy Breaky Heart." But
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. It's a weird
Yeah.
choice because it's not really a '60s one.
So being Kevin Smith, like, is it really like talk heavy?
Very dialogue driven, very raunchy.
Yeah.
A lot of cursing, which is very different. And lots of like weird kind of like Christian imagery just shows up as well.
Oh yeah.
And there's a whole sequence actually that's in black and white.
I was gonna say, like, was there
Like there's it cuts to a point where actually Kevin Smith has a cameo and he's standing next to number 2, and they're kind of just like leaning on a counter, like bored, and it goes into black and white, and they're just talking about other movies from the 90s.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because School of Rock did that as well. There was this whole segment, there was this whole piece in School of Rock where like Anthony Hopkins is doing, like, showing off to the kids about like playing instruments and stuff like that. And the minute like he hits the first note on the drums, it goes black and white. And then the whole thing is just like black and white the whole time. He's like doing this one-shot montage thing.
Yeah.
And then when he clashes the cymbal on the last bit, it goes back to colour again.
Ah, interesting. That's really cool.
So that's really interesting that Kevin Smith did the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's like a giant rubber poop monster like in the third act as well.
Okay.
Like Dr. Evil created some monster like from hell.
Yeah.
And Austin has to like just kick him in the jumblies basically, like right in the middle. And then like Dr. Evil gets into this giant like rocket, looks like a penis. Like that was in the original one as well. And he ends up like crashing on the moon.
So what was the reception with Maggie Smith? Like in your world, like was it revered with like, oh my god, she did such a good job?
On
or was
the
it like...
on the DVD box art, it just says inspired casting. And people were like, Dame Maggie knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
You know, a triumph for women everywhere.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, they people really dug it. But that being said, I am gonna change it back.
Yeah.
That was Austin Powers, International Man in Mystery, and then Kevin Smith did the follow up as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the sequel was called though. I think it was I can't remember.
It wasn't The Spy Who Shagged Me?
No, it was what was
The
it?
Spy Went to Greg's? Because Maggie Smith's Scottish?
No, it wasn't. It was from Quick Stop with Love. Yeah, it wasn't very successful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the first one was more popular than
Very
the second.
popular, yeah. All right, we should have a look at another one and
Yeah.
just make sure there's no other movies that have been messed with.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't mind that Austin Powers was messed with so much, but the other ones I'm a little bit more worried about. This is going to be a rough one.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So obviously, in my world, in my timeline, Robert Zemeckis directed it. But in your timeline, it was John Hughes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, he made a lot of teen movies. I did think it was interesting that they replaced Michael J. Fox in your timeline with Finn Wolfhard, which is really interesting because he's alive now and John Hughes isn't in my time. He was the boy from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And also I thought it was really interesting they cast, instead of Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown was played by Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this has become like a cult favourite.
Okay.
In my version of our universe. So basically it starts with Finn and he's like in detention. Okay, because he's always late.
Yeah, okay, sure.
He's always late to school, so he's in detention, and while he's in detention, he's got other kids in detention with him. There's one who's like a drop kick, and there's one who's like the popular girl.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff like that. So it starts off a little bit slow because it starts off in that detention sort of thing. But then there's the teacher is, ignoring the students as usual in all John Hughes films. The teacher doesn't care, teachers don't care, and the students do whatever. And so the teacher's not paying attention, and then there's like a little tap, tap, tap at the window. We look over, it's Jack Nicholson. It's Doc Brown.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm doing the eyebrows for those who can't see.
Yeah.
Marty. Yeah, see, you gotta come with me, Marty.
That's about Jack Nicholson.
Because we got a couple of problems, Marty. And so, he sneaks out through the window, goes to Doc Brown's place, and there's this time machine, basically. This DeLorean that's been turned into a time machine.
Oh, I'm glad it's still a DeLorean.
Yeah. It's still a DeLorean, absolutely still a DeLorean. And so Jack Nicholson's talking about he was doing these experiments. Originally, he was doing these experiments with trying to create the perfect woman, sort of thing. And then he quickly realized he didn't want a woman. Basically, he wanted freedom. And what gives you freedom? A car.
Yeah,
a car
sure.
gives you freedom. A woman ties you down.
Okay.
Sort of thing. As John Hughes very clearly subliminally messages in his films and stuff like that. And so he created this car, but the problem was that he couldn't get the car to work properly. There was something missing. And so he employs Finn to try and find plutonium, basically to get this car started. And Finn's how am I supposed to find that? I'm just a teenage boy.
Yep.
And so it ends up this whole sort of thing where he ends up finding some from some Libyans and all this kind of stuff like that. He brings it back, and then they do a test run. Test run doesn't go too well because what ends up happening is that through a chain of events, Finn ends up in the DeLorean and he ends up back in the 1950s, basically.
Okay, sure.
And so, he comes back in the 1950s and he realizes where he is, so he tries to chase up the doc. They did some de-aging on Jack Nicholson.
Sure.
Still got the eyebrows though,
Yeah,
obviously.
sure.
Still got the eyebrows. And so then Jack Nicholson's like, well, I can't really help you, so you just have to stay in the 50s. And so then he just goes to school in the 50s and he keeps getting detention, and there's a drop kick and a popular girl and all this and then the film just continues on his life in the 50s. And so by the time he doesn't end up going back to the present.
Oh,
yeah,
that's dark.
Yeah. He just lives his life, and his parents thinks that he's gone, but at the same time they don't really care because the parents don't really care and all this kind of. And he has like a couple of house parties. Like he introduces the idea of like house parties to the 1950s and stuff like that. But like it's shown through like more montages. So like he has like parties in like the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and then by the time it gets to the 80s, his son, who is actually so Finn has like become older, yeah. So the older version of Finn is played by Michael J. Fox.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. And so
interesting. They managed to get him in there still.
Yeah. It's just like right at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. And so basically, what happens is that like his son is then like in school, in high school and stuff like that. His son, who is his son played by again?
Well, you said Finn Wolfhard plays Marty.
Yeah.
And then Michael J. Fox plays old Marty.
Yeah.
But a different person plays his son. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at the end, in the future. Because, like, Finn has grown up to be Marty.
Okay.
And then Marty has, like, a kid who's in school.
Okay. And they just get Finn Wolfhard to play the same role twice.
Well, he can't play his own son.
Oh, well, just because in the Back to the Future that I have,
yeah,
Michael J. Fox played his son and his daughter. His own children.
Oh, yeah. No, that doesn't happen in this one.
Okay, sure.
No. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll remember it in a second.
Was it one of the other Stranger Things kids? Like the curly-haired kid or something? Or
Yeah. I can't remember.
Dustin something, okay.
Dustin something. That's
sure,
right, Dustin
okay.
something. And so then he goes to school, and he's in detention because he's always late because he's just like his dad. He's a dropkick sort of thing like that. He's always just been like his dad. Don't call him a chicken because like he'll just like
sure.
crack it basically. And so he's in detention because he tried to skip out on school.
Yeah.
And have like a day off basically.
Sure.
And he got caught because he drove his friend's dad's Ferrari, like, into a bush. But anyway, so he gets detention.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in detention with a dropkick and a popular girl. And then guess what happens?
What?
There's a tap, tap, tap at the window. You know who it is?
It's Doc Brown?
It's Doc Brown. And the whole thing becomes a cycle again. So that's what it means by Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay, well...
Because it goes into the past... And then it comes back to, like, the present again.
Yeah.
But for those characters, it's the future.
Sure.
So that's why it's called Back to the Future, which makes sense. Because I feel like I heard a story about in your universe how Back to the Future, the title doesn't make sense because they never go to the future.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, in my Back to the Future, the theme song is Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News. Is that the same song, or is it a different song for this soundtrack?
No, it's a different song. It's not Huey Lewis and the News. It's actually all what's that band called? Not the Wah Wah. What are they called? The George Michael Band.
Wham?
Wham, yeah. So it's all Wham songs.
So Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Yeah, because that's the first song, because his alarm goes off. Yeah? So it's like, wake me up before you go. And that's like what he's skateboarding to school, and he's late and everything. Yeah.
Oh,
and then,
God.
like, when he goes back into the 50s, there's a scene where he's at a prom.
I'm going to ask you about that, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a scene where he's at a prom and he has to... Funny turn of events, he ends up having to stand in for one of the bands.
Oh, okay.
Members, and he's playing, like, electric guitar. But the thing is that it's a song that they haven't heard yet, but he knows in his time, like in the 80s and stuff like that. And it's, Boy George. And what's the song that he's,
Do you really want to hurt me?
No, the other one, because that one's too slow for prom. Not Locomotion.
No, that's Kylie Minogue.
That's Kylie Minogue. I can't remember. So that...
Karma Chameleon?
Yeah, Karma Chameleon.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's Karma Chameleon. Karma Chameleon.
That's some really weird ideas. in this
And they
movie.
do like swing dancing to it. You come and go. You come and go. It's like really dippy.
Okay, sure.
And like the guy's like, hey, you gotta listen to this.
I mean, at least in your version, a white guy didn't steal music from a black person, so
Yeah.
I guess that's something. I hate that.
You hate that.
I've got to
Yeah,
fix
it was. Oh wait, hang on a sec. Oh, who does he call? He calls the guy with the parachute pants.
MC.
Yeah, he goes, MC Hammer, listen to this. So it's actually a black guy stealing music from a white guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I've got to fix the timeline. Should we check any more movies?
I'm happy with the amount. We 3 and 3.
We're feeling no. That's 3 and 2.
Oh, I thought you had a third.
I told you about Thor, and I told you about
Austin Powers.
Austin
Okay, so
Powers,
we've got
yeah.
one more to go. So we'll do one more.
Okay.
Okay,
Just
so that way it
just to
says
double check
even.
the timeline.
Yeah, just to
And then I can go back and fix things.
6 check the timeline.
Okay.
All right. So tell me about the movie The Fellowship of the Ring.
Classic film.
Yeah,
Okay.
classic, absolutely classic.
Um,
And it was directed by Martin Scorsese.
yeah, sure. I think it's
But
called
I
The
think-
Good Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, The Good Fellowship of the Ring. And of course, it starred classic actor Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. as Frodo.
as Frodo.
Do you want to tell
Do you
me?
want? I can tell you
Yeah,
some other ones, like
sure.
Gandalf, for example.
Sure. Who was Gandalf?
Gandalf was played by Nicolas Cage.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Do you just want those 2 actors, or do you want some more?
That should be enough.
Yeah?
So okay, The Good Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings. Look, it was Scorsese.
Because this one's interesting because it's based on a book.
It is.
So I wonder if the movie deviates away from the book or not.
It does, because Scorsese, first of all, it's his first work of kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
He normally played things pretty straight, like very historically accurate, or kind of like a version of history that was somewhat tied into reality. It's not for kids. It was actually, I don't know if you saw Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, were set in modern day.
Yeah.
So that he did that with Lord of the Rings. So instead of
Oh,
swords,
it's in one day.
it's
So
basically
it's guns.
Yeah, it's guns.
Oh wow. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And basically, like the 2 towers are like in 2.
The Twin Towers from New
No,
York?
no. They're in 2 different cities.
Yeah.
But they're like skyscrapers.
Yeah. Cool.
Now that's obviously later down the track.
Yeah.
That's in the sequel. But it's like a modern kind of present day retelling of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And yeah, Robert Downey Jr. plays Frodo, who's like this young hobbit, and he's full of like wonder and stuff.
So he's a hobbit. He's not like a person. It's still fantasy.
It's still fantasy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a hobbit. But the hobbit's kind of like the name of his So there's like this borough in New York called the Shire,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cool.
and like their kind of mob gang are the hobbits.
Yeah.
So like Robert Downey Jr. plays Frodo. Samwise is played by Jon Favreau, who directed the Iron
Yeah.
Man movies,
Mhm.
and he was just like ah.
Yeah, that's great.
And Merry and Pippin are played by Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci, one of the hobbits as well. He's always angry. Like,
Yeah.
he's always like, "Why'd you do that? Like you idiot!" Like he curses a lot.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
know, funny how he says.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit where they're like, "Oh, someone's like, oh, you hobbits are funny because funny how," and he like just, like pistol whips a guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
But then Nicolas Cage as Gandalf shows up because it's Frodo's uncle's 111st birthday.
Yeah.
And Bilbo's actually played by Martin Scorsese. It's like just a brief cameo.
Yeah. Nice.
And he finds out that he's got this the One Ring. It is a ring. Like they didn't change that. It's still the One Ring. And it's imbued with magic, and Sauron's after it. And Gandalf like comes on. And he's like, "We gotta keep it hidden. We gotta keep it safe." And like, he's
Yeah.
and he's like, he's wild. Like he's insane. Like, and at one point,
So does Robert? So because he's like insane, like does Robert Downey Jr. like take him seriously?
no, because he knows him as like a trickster and like you old man or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
so they've got an affinity with each other. So like, even
Yeah.
though he's kind of insane, like he's never steered him wrong in the past, and he
Right.
knows that he took Bilbo on an adventure when he was younger as well. but Gandalf's pretty much like, look, I'll meet you at the bar, the something of the Prancing Pony or whatever, which is a strip club.
Right. Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
they got to go. And that's when they want to meet Gandalf. So the Hobbit gang have to like navigate the mean
The
streets
gangsters, yeah, the Hobbit gangsters.
of like New York, leaving the Shire, and they have to get to the Prancing Pony, this strip club, and on the way there are these 9 riders, and they're like they're in leather cloaks and they ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
And they're like
They're after the ring.
They're after the ring.
Yeah.
They're hunting them down, and so they have like some close encounters. And at one point, like Joe Pesci like tries to like knock over like a pawn shop and like steal some jewelry,
Yeah.
like to fill his
So
sack.
you want a ring? Here's a ring.
Yeah. And it's like it's run by this guy who they call him the farmer, like, but
Yeah.
he's not really a farmer. They just call him that because he always like picks up like good like he just harvests good gold and stuff like that. But they go to the Prancing Pony.
Just also because this is a Scorsese film.
Yeah.
Is it like 4 hours long?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
Because
they
my one's 4 hours long too.
sure.
Yeah, in my universe.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours long as well.
And then they have to they meet this guy called Strider, and he's like this guy who kind of is hidden. He's like smoking in the background of this pub, this strip club. Sorry, like so while Merry and Pippin are getting lap dances and stuff.
Yeah.
John Favreau, Samwise, like he's getting some beers, and they and at one point it's like Joe Pesci's like, yeah, I know Frodo, Baggins, Frodo Baggins, and Robert Downey Jr. puts on the one ring and he disappears, and then like the faces of like the 9 motorcyclists like appear, and like there's this really like brilliant like score that has a kind of like an Italian guitar kind of like almost like it's almost like reminiscent of The Godfather. And Daniel Day-Lewis plays Aragorn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got like this thick New York accent. They call he's also called him the Butcher. Like,
Yeah.
that's like one of the. He goes by many names, but that's one of his names.
Yeah, that's like his gangster sort of name.
Yeah.
Something like that. He's known for like butchering people.
Yeah, and while they're like sorting things out there, it cuts to Gandalf riding to one of the 2 towers to speak with Saruman.
Yeah.
And Saruman's already been seduced by Sauron.
Yeah.
And Saruman is played by Jack Nicholson. Actually, it's interesting.
Oh yeah.
No, sorry, John Travolta.
Oh
Because
yeah.
then what happens is he says if you're not going to join us, then we're going to be you, and he switches faces with. So Nicolas Cage now plays Saruman,
Okay.
and John Travolta plays
So there's nothing
Gandalf.
confusing when Gandalf meets up with Frodo again, and it's like,
Well,
hey,
that's-
you have a different face.
Well, no, because then Saruman, wearing Gandalf's face, goes to infiltrate the Fellowship.
Gotcha.
And they have to go. They're like, we have to, ride to Rivendell, where the elves are.
Yeah.
And the elves are kind of like these importer-exporters. They get like a lot of like kind of fabrics, but also they smuggle things in.
Yeah.
But it's this beautiful, like ornate. It's like in the village, like it's
Yeah.
kind of in the village, like in the city or whatever. And there's this mob boss called Elrond.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't trust Daniel Day-Lewis because he's always trying to like hook up with his daughter and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, long story short, like they have to try and so they're making their way through. They uncover like Gandalf as not being really Gandalf. They realize it's actually Saruman, so he kind of goes off. Meanwhile, Gandalf, wearing Saruman's face, jumps off the top of the tower and lands like a giant it's a giant eagle. Like, it's weird. Like, it's the one thing they kept true from the book is this giant eagle. And he like goes off to try and meet up with them. And they meet up at this big mountain. Well, I say mountain. It's like a chain of hotels or whatever. And but they try to go around it, but they can't.
It's built to like be a mountain.
Yeah, well, they call it a mine.
Yeah.
A mine. And they have to go through, and there's like it's kind of like a hotel casino.
Right.
And like there's like all these kind of like creepy like kind of drug addicts and stuff like crawling around, like picking the carcass of like these old slot machines and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're walking through, and like the drums start, and there's this thing called the Balrog. Again, they didn't actually change that change the either. So it's the other fancy elements in there.
Yeah.
And they have to get through there without getting taken down. And Nicolas Cage has to fight the Balrog, who's also played by Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's almost a war of words as opposed to like, he's like, you're not gonna pass.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And they both end up tumbling down into like, this kind of crack in the New York subway, and then this train hits them and takes them, and that's the last we see of them. And then they come out on the other side of the hotel, and it's kind of like this greenery. It's almost like the city was surrounded by walls of hotel and casino, and now they're like out in the woods. And that's where it ends in this version.
Yeah.
Like I know that in the original version it actually ended a lot later, but that's kind of where it ends, and then it picks up in the Two Towers. Is actually like a 6-hour film.
Right.
And has like bits of Fellowship in there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is. I know I didn't really talk about Robert Downey Jr. at all, but he's just charming in it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that's all you need to know. He's just like charming. He's a bit like a bit of a smart aleck and stuff. And,
yeah. He's your lovable
like a lovable
ruffian.
miscreant type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. There's a lot of like 80s music in it.
Oh yeah. Is there a little creature that's following them?
Oh yeah, Gollum. I forgot. Gollum is in it.
Yeah.
He only really shows up in one scene. In this one, when they're in the underground casino.
Yeah.
At first, they think he's like one of the drug addicts or whatever. But then Nicolas Cage is like, he's a creature, Gollum. Like,
yeah.
It's a terrible Nick Cage impression.
Is that also played by Nick Cage?
No. It's played by who was the guy? It's played by Jonah Hill.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like naked, like, and like just really like aggressive and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like curses at them and stuff, like just swears at them the whole time. But yeah, it's interesting. The good Fellowship of the Ring, but it's not the masterpiece that was in my timeline. So whilst it's interesting, and it's certainly an experiment in film, I'll go back and change that as well.
Yeah.
There we go. Those are 6 really upsetting movies. Well, now that we've talked about that, I know that the timeline's definitely broken. So what I can do is throw some trash into my time machine, loop through time, repair the films that have been messed up, and then I can come home and resume the podcast normally.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Did you have anything you want to add to these terrible masterpieces?
I think that they're all really interesting, unique.
Yeah.
Like, I still am adamant that, like, there's some awards in some of these, you know?
Yeah,
Scorsese, Scorsese, like, I can just picture the dialogue right now.
Oh my god. Those were terrible. Alright, I will, I'll fire up the plutonium. Well, I don't need plutonium, I've got trash. I'll fire up the trash compactor, get, all these movies fixed up, and I'll be back in time for tea, as Austin Powers would say.
Yeah.
That's gonna
sorry. I'll be back in time for tea.
Why is it always you three? That's going to do it for a very unusual episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob. Try something different this week before the 6-month anniversary episode drops. 6-month anniversary, that's obviously like not an anniversary if it's only half a year.
Yeah, it's an anniversary.
6-month anniversary.
6 month, yeah.
And then we have the Halloween shows coming up, which I'm very excited about. I want to thank Tina for taking this weird trip on the show.
Good improv.
Yeah.
Good stretch in my improv bone.
Oh, I'm not an improv guy at all, so
Yeah.
I was like, you could tell like they're like the.
I struggle with improv too, but that was great.
It was a bit of fun, just thinking a little bit different and
Yeah.
silly. I definitely laughed. Like,
I couldn't think of actors' names.
yeah,
That was the hard part.
I couldn't remember details. I was like as a guy who remembers lots of films, I was like, I'm struggling to remember the details of International Man of Mystery. I'd forgotten that film entirely. And I've talked about it on the show before because it's one of Liz's top 5 favourite films of all time. Well, that's going to do it for a very bizarre but fun episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob. Next week's episode is an interesting one. It's a little bit different again, and then we launch into the Halloween episodes, so stick around for those. If you want to check us out on Instagram, I Was a Teenage Film Snob, _s between every single word. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Tina, do you have anything to plug and to advertise? Or
just the Feminist Mum blog
Yep, the Feminist Mum blog.
on Instagram.
Check that one out. And as I say every week, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. We'll see you next week.